Hello. Come on in the room. Hi, everybody. Good to see you again. Hey, so happy to be here with you all. Make yourselves comfortable while we get started shortly. Wonderful. I'm just looking around the room, seeing so many familiar faces, just taking in and savoring a bit of gratitude, a bit of joy at being here. Yeah, wonderful.
Okay, well, we're a minute after, Sharon. Should we go ahead and get started?
Yeah, let's do it, Mackie.
Okay, awesome. Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to see you again. We're back with Sharon today for the live session for Module 7. And today we'll be talking about mentoring as a vocation. And the next session for Module 8, there will be more space for questions and interactions. That session is going to be a little bit different. And then, as a reminder, after the holidays, we've added a final bonus module about somatic and trauma informed mentoring with Manuela Reeds. And so, on to our session schedule today. We will open with a short meditation followed by a brief overview of Module 7. We'll have some breakout room time and then we'll come back together for live Q&A with Sharon. By this time you all know this flow. You're a pro at this. And Sharon will lead us into closing. Um, some other things, just to as a reminder, if anything happens today, if you need technical support or you have questions, please feel free to drop those into the Q&A and those will go directly to Sharon and I. The chat will be closed for the majority of the session just to keep it distraction free. And during the Q&A part, just raise your hand using the Zoom functionality to ask your question. And with that, I have the great pleasure to welcome our dear teacher, Sharon, once again to the live session. Sharon Shelton is a founding advisor and mindfulness teacher at Banyan, serving alongside Tara Brock and Jack Cornfield on our teaching council. And she's a board member for both the Center of Mindful Self-Compassion and Peace at Any Pace. She mentors students in the Mindfulness Mentor Teacher Certification Program, or MMTCP, and at Banyan, and she offers Dharma talks and day-long retreats at the Triangle Insight Meditation Community in Durham, North Carolina. Sharon has guided and inspired hundreds of mindfulness practitioners, weaving together her expertise as a certified mindfulness teacher and a life coach certified by International Coach Federation, or ICF. And we want to just say a big thank you here. Sharon is an essential part of this program for MMT. She's the co creator of this training and is the lead teacher. Thank you, Sharon, for all that you do and your guidance and your teaching. And I'll turn it over to you when you're ready.
Uh, Thank you, Mackie, for that sweet introduction. I really appreciate it. It's always awkward to hear somebody talk about you while you're sitting right there. But uh, but yeah, thank you, Mackie. It warms my heart. And thank you for your support. So really, hi again, everybody. It's good to be with you again. I always love these opportunities to get together with folks uh, who are also committed to less harm and more joy in this world. So, you know, as we near the end of our time, we're kind of at the tail end of the program. I just wanted to take a few moments to invite us all to land here. We're coming from different time zones and different levels of energy, different circumstances. So let's just take a moment to land here with whatever is here. And so we're just going to sit for about 5 minutes or so. So I invite you to, settle down into your seat a bit more fully. Really sensing those places where your body is being supported by the chair, the couch, the cushion, and finding the breath as you let your eyes close gently if they're not already closed. Finding the breath. And maybe taking a few deeper breaths, just a bit deeper than you would normally take. So inhaling and breathing in spaciousness, and exhaling, seeing if you can release any tension in the body, letting the shoulders drop, letting the muscles of the face be soft. Letting the hands rest wherever they're comfortable. Maybe even softening the belly. Just letting yourself arrive here and letting each exhale support you in doing that. Allowing whatever is here to be here, not pushing anything away. Anchoring your attention in the breath, however your body is choosing to breathe today. Let the breath support you in landing here. And as we close this brief set, we invite you to take another full breath, breathing in and breathing all the way out. Again, letting the shoulders drop just a tiny bit more. Letting the jaw be loose, the brows smooth, the eyes soft. And then whenever you're ready, You can open your eyes, come back into the space. And thank you for practicing. All right. I hope that was helpful for you. It was definitely helpful for me. And uh, so first I want to give a bit of an overview of Module 7. Um, as I said, we're nearing the close of this training, getting close. And today's session is really designed to help you to take everything that you've learned to this point so far and begin to shape it into something that's tangible, something that's sustainable. So just as a reminder of the learning objectives for this module, one is to understand right livelihood and what it entails. 2 is to engage in strategies for the business of mentoring. I even hesitate to call it business, but it's more of a practice of mentoring. 3 is to understand the different fee models and um, strategies, perhaps, for mindfulness mentoring that you might want to consider. And 4 is to create a vision for yourselves as mindfulness mentors going forward, really stepping into this role and what that entails. And so this session is really designed to help you integrate what you've learned in Module 7. 1, to connect with others in breakout rooms. I think one of the best things about this program is the connections that it makes for people after the program, for different types of collaboration, all kinds of support, all kinds of good stuff. So this session is designed to help you integrate what you've learned, to help you connect with others, and to ask questions, to perhaps share some reflections, what you're excited about, what you're nervous about, to get some clarification on something. And so, first, mentoring as a vocation. So as many of you know, probably all of you at this point, right livelihood is one of the 8 path factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. And for lay people like us, it means living in a way, working in a way that does not cause harm and ideally supports liberation. Now, the Buddha could not have imagined our lives today. The complexity, the pace, the pressures that we're subject to. But the principle of not harming is timeless. The principle of not harming is timeless. And the teaching of harmlessness includes being able to support yourselves, includes being able to support your family and to support the community. The reason the Buddha and the monks did not have to work is because they were supported by the community. So the question becomes, how do we offer our work in the world in a way that is ethical, in a way that is skillful, in a way that's sustainable? Whether you're offering it in the world full-time or part-time, or there are some who are offering their work seasonally, who have seasonal offers. So for me, the journey to answering this question began 20 years ago. I felt some resistance to charging money for work that was rooted in compassion, for work that was rooted in wisdom teachings and mindfulness. It was really uncomfortable. I had to unpack a lot of conditioning. I had to unpack a lot of narrative about money, about worth, about service. And I really wrestled with the idea that spiritual teachings must always be offered freely. But over time, and this will be an individual exploration for each of you, over time, as my practice deepened, as I got guidance from wise teachers, I eventually found my way, my own way of serving that felt rooted in the Dharma, that felt rooted in these teachings, and aligned with my values, aligned with my stage in life, and aligned with the world that I wanted to help shape. And so that'll be an exploration for each of you. And so why this path of mindfulness mentoring? Uh, and frankly, because the need for wise, steady, compassionate guides is only growing, especially in these chaotic and uncertain times. And then this flood of information. People are craving guidance. Um, People are hungry for presence, for a safe space. They're hungry for meaning, or to understand life in a particular way. And I believe mindfulness mentors will play a really vital role in how we relate to and connect with each other, perhaps in more loving and courageous ways. So I think this is an extraordinary time, frankly. Um, and this work really lights me up. You know, so many people are waking up to the truth that real, true transformation takes time, takes support, and takes relationship, because they're listening to podcasts. We all have the same books on our shelves, I'm sure. They're attending meditation groups, they're joining apps, and they're attending retreats. And then they're often asking, how do I actually live this, embody this with sincerity and consistency? And that's where your support comes in. Because it's not that they don't know these things, it's not new information, but the embodiment, the living what they know to be true can be really challenging. And that's where mentorship can be extraordinarily helpful. And organizations are also recognizing the value of this work. Big orgs like Google and Aetna and SAP and um, LinkedIn, Intel, Salesforce, General Mills, some public school systems, they're offering mindfulness mentoring and they're offering coaching. And there are many companies contracting with outside organizations to provide mindfulness coaching or mentoring as a benefit. Microsoft has partnered with Headspace and also offers an internal coaching programs. Unilever has partnered with Google Search Inside Yourself. Uh, Facebook Meta includes mindfulness in their leadership training. Casa Permanente offers mindfulness-based coaching. Uh, and there's lots of small and mid-sized organizations that are realizing um, that employees who have a sense of well-being are better employees, create a culture of care. And so this field is really emerging. And so you're at sort of the forefront of something new and interesting and impactful. And so becoming a mindfulness mentor isn't about following a rigid template. Like this is what you do and this is how you do it. It's about listening inward, allowing life, your lived experience, allowing your own practice to shape the way you serve. And so to support this reflection on what kind of mindfulness mentor do I want to be, who do I want to serve, I've kind of distilled 10 questions to help you begin to clarify this path for you. And you don't need to answer all of them in your head right now, but let them sort of simmer, see what comes most alive for you. And let these questions guide you into a deeper alignment with what you feel called to offer and how you wish to offer it. And so this is not about doing it right. It's about discovering what's true for you in response to these questions. And so once we're done, I'll list the questions so you have them. And so the first question really is, who do you feel called to serve? What populations are you drawn to? Is it parents? Is it BIPOC communities? Is it women in midlife, which is who I work with? Do you want to work with therapists? Do you want to work with teens or elders? Do you want to have a more generalized approach, or do you want to focus really in a niche way? What are you curious about or passionate about or even angry about? Who do you feel called to serve? Then the next question is, why do you want to serve these folks? What's your why? Are you someone who has traversed the same territory, has experienced the same trauma, and has learned some things that you feel might be helpful to others? What's fueling your desire to mentor? What's fueling this desire? And the third question, what makes you uniquely resonant as a mentor? What makes you uniquely resonant as a mentor? Your story, your wounds, your wisdom, your training, your presence, all of that matters. What you've lived through and what you've learned. What makes you uniquely resonant to mentor these people that you'd like to serve? And what challenges or aspirations do you want to support people with? Is it stress? Is it life transformation? Is it deepening their Dharma practice? Might be one of them. Is it supporting people and feeling a sense of belonging? What do you want others to feel or remember when they encounter your work? What challenges or aspirations do you support people with? And how will mentoring with you benefit someone? What changes or shifts might they experience? Will they deepen their capacity to deal with all these different worldly winds? Will it support them in getting clear if they're in the midst of a transition? How will people find you? Number 6, will you collaborate with aligned organizations? Will you be on your own? Will you use Meetup to reach people? Will you use social media, word of mouth? How will people find you? How will they know you're there? And then 7, what structure feels right for your offerings? Is it one-on-ones? Is it small groups? Are you drawn to offer seasonal packages or ongoing memberships? Will you go solo or affiliate with another platform like Banyan or Headspace? Or what structure feels right for your offerings? And that will also be determined by how you want to work. Some people prefer to work one-on-one with folks. Some people prefer groups. Many people prefer some hybrid version. Will you offer workshops in addition to private coaching and group coaching? So what structure feels right for your offerings? And then how will you approach fees and financial sustainability? Will you offer a sliding scale? Will you offer set rates? Will a portion of your work be dana? And what pricing reflects the population that you serve while also honoring your time, your practice, and your training? Yeah. And so you can look at some general averages of what probably closest would be coaches offer. And they go from anywhere from $80 an hour all the way up to $300 an hour. It just depends. And so this is not something to get right because it may change depending on the season in life that you're in and your own needs. But starting somewhere is what's most important. Starting where it feels most aligned with your values. And like me, you could have set rates and also leave a certain percentage of your time for dana offerings. There's all kinds of ways that you can structure your fees. And it's helpful to understand how much money how much of a cash flow do you actually need if this is your only job, if you're transitioning into this in some way that this becomes your primary income source. Then figuring out, putting it all in a spreadsheet. How much money do I actually need to bring in order to feel comfortable? And then determining how many people you want to work with, and maybe doing some math to get to a particular number, and then seeing how that feels and going from there. Always driven by your heart, but also honoring your time, also honoring your practice, also honoring all the training and the money that you've put into training. So valuing what you have to offer. The money is simply an exchange of value. 9, what systems will support your mentoring? And this is really important. I had to figure this out along the way. And I'm really thinking technology here. There's so many different platforms and solutions that can take a lot of the administrative load off of you so that you can focus on your genius work, as they call it. So tools like Calendly to help you schedule, Zoom to facilitate meeting, or Google Workspace. Um, uh, you can leverage tools like ChatGPT to the degree that you're comfortable with those in a very narrow way, perhaps helping you to brainstorm ideas for new offerings or to help you edit something that you've already written. Google Calendar to help you manage your time. So to think about what tools would you need to have in place to manage the administrative infrastructure to free up your time. It could be getting the in-person logistics in place, if that's your path. What systems will support your mentoring? A system to manage your documents, like Dropbox. A system to schedule your clients, like Calendly. A way to meet your clients, like Zoom. Some way to capture client data. Could be as simple as an Excel spreadsheet, or you could use a more complicated customer relationship management system. So thinking that through, what systems will support your mentoring? And then finally, how will you care for yourself as you mentor others? This is so important. So important to not forget this piece. That mentors need mentoring too, perhaps. You may want a peer group. Maybe a peer group born out of this practice training. Maybe you want some additional training. And to also to remember to schedule time for rest and restoration. This kind of work is different. And we need time to restore ourselves when we're working with others in such a tender place. And so I don't think I fully appreciated that. In the beginning, I was scheduling people with like a half an hour in between sessions. And I realized that didn't work for me because I needed time for it all to wash through me. And so thinking that through as well was more important than I had anticipated. And so here are the 10 questions that I mentioned. And you, again, as you move into breakout sessions, you don't have to answer them all, but this is about beginning to form your unique roadmap for turning these heart-centered offerings into an income, a steady income, sustainable income that honors your values and supports the kind of life that nourishes your teaching. Please hear this. Turning heart-centered offerings into steady income that honors your values and supports the kind of life that nourishes your teaching. And so it's that important. And so I think now we're going to shift into breakout rooms. And I think you're going to be in groups of 3 or 4. And in your breakout room, you're going to take turns sharing, one or two of these questions that speak to you most right now, where you might be struggling or where you might want to focus first or what feels unclear. And you don't need to be polished or performative or have a clear answer, just whatever's arising for you now. So this is about exploring the questions together, maybe sharing ideas, listening deeply, and seeing what comes alive, as you reflect. So I think we'll have 20 minutes. I believe we'll have 20 minutes. And so I think and maybe you can help me, Himaki,
Yep.
maybe three or 4 minutes per person or something like that.
Yeah, that's great. So we'll have about 3 to 4 people in each room. So
Okay,
about 5 minutes each to share. If you have three, you can
excellent.
share a little bit more. I'll also drop the prompt so that Sharon shared here. So which one of these questions feels most alive or tender for you right now? What does it stir up for you? Excitement, curiosity, longing? Um, and how does that reveal or what does that reveal about the mentor you're becoming? So I'll
Mm,
send that through when you're in your breakout rooms too, just so it's alive and fresh. But I'll go ahead and send you into rooms right now and see you soon.
awesome. Enjoy your time together, and I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Come on in the room. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I hope you all really enjoyed your small group conversations. We still got some folks coming back. We'll get started shortly. Looking forward to Q and R instead of Q and A. So I don't know if I'll have the answer. Q and R. I'll definitely have a response. All right. Welcome back, everybody. All right. I think just about everybody's back. What do you think, Mackie?
Yep, breakout rooms are closed.
All right.
Yeah, for this section, everyone, we're going to move into question and response with Sharon. So please use the raise hand functionality. And then Sharon, do you want to call on people? And then,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
great. And I
I'll
can
just call
stop.
on people and then yeah, that would be fantastic. So I'd love to hear from folks. So yeah, let's start with Tessie. Hi, Tessie. Uh-oh, you're muted, dear. That's okay. I say that at least once or twice a day. Hello.
Okay, hello Sharon, hello everyone.
Mhm.
So I was going through the videos, and this is in module 4, the clearness committee in greater detail. Do you know what I'm talking about, Sharon, or it doesn't jump out at you?
It doesn't jump out. The clearness committee, it doesn't jump out just
Yes.
yet.
Okay, that's where you have a client and you have a committee asking the client questions.
It doesn't jump out at me. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe then I will ask that question to Mackie to pass it on to whoever is adept at able to answer it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably the best approach.
Okay.
There's so much content in
Yeah,
this
I
in this
know.
mod. Yeah. So I apologize. I'm not clear on that specific
Yeah,
one
yeah,
right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But we'll
Mackie
get
suggested I ask you, so I will
yeah.
put it back to her. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Okay, no problem at all. No
Mm.
problem. And if Mackie, if you have trouble finding that out, I can find that out. I can talk to because I co-created this program with a dear friend of mine, Janice Gates, who has passed away. And so that may have been something that Janice put in there, but I can find out, and that's not a problem at all, Tessie. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
thanks.
figure it out, right, Mackie?
Yeah, thanks, Sharon. I did
No
suggest
problems.
Tessie ask because I was like, I don't know that the answer to that question, and I would imagine
Yeah.
Sharon would be the person to ask. So,
No, that was the right approach. That was the absolute right approach. So I'm sorry I can't answer it right now, Tessie, but we'll get the answer to you. Yeah. Teresa? Hello, Teresa.
Hi, Sharon. Thank you so much for offering this and for your generosity and your beautiful smile.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So my question is, so before I ask the question, I'll just give a very little bit of context. So
Yeah.
I've been teaching mindfulness for quite a while, so I know how to advertise for that.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not clear when I'm publicizing the mentoring how people
Hmm.
would know that this is different than teaching mindfulness. Is it the
Ah,
language that's used? How
yes.
so that's one question. And
Hmm.
the other is, and I guess I haven't watched all the videos for this model. My question is, how is the format different than teaching?
Ah, very good questions, Teresa. Let me see. So, to your first question, it does come down to how you language it. So, for example, I offer group coaching, I offer individual coaching, and I offer mentoring. And I do teach, for example, I was just out in Georgia and I taught a weekend retreat. And we talk a little bit about the differences in, I think, in the very first module, but it does come down to languaging. And the distinction that I make is coaching can tend to be more goal oriented. So you're really supporting people in moving from point A to point B. So there are some very definitive milestones, and we're using frameworks to help people to take action in a particular direction. Teaching, for example, when I taught this past weekend, I'm offering some of the teachings, but I don't have a relationship with anybody there. So when I left the retreat, they may reach out to me, they may not, but I don't have an ongoing relationship with them. I'm just kind of offering them the teachings as they've been taught to me and filtered through my own lived experience. Mentoring, which is what I do mostly mentoring now. I love mentoring because what mentoring is you're actually you're pointing people to their own wisdom. So you're developing you don't have an agenda necessarily, aside from an agenda to support them in listening to their own wisdom. But you don't have an agenda for them to be able to do this right, or click this box or click that box. You're really supporting them in accessing their own wisdom, developing a relationship with their own wisdom, and and navigating all of the ups and downs, the 10,000 joys and the 10,000 sorrows of life through that lens. So you're sort of accompanying them. Whereas a teacher, you're teaching the teachings and they're receiving the teachings. Coaching, you have an agenda to move them from point A to point B in a particular way. Mentoring is you're walking beside, you're maybe a tiny bit ahead, tiny bit, but you're walking beside them, um, trusting that they have the answers that they seek. And you're simply holding space for them to be able to become more fluent in the language of their own truth. So, yes, I don't know if that helps, but
Yeah, thank you for explaining that so clearly. Can you give me an example, like for mentoring? What
mhm.
would you actually say in your poster or your email?
Oh, a lot of what I just explained. And there's some language actually I think if you go back to the first module, there might be some language in there that can be helpful that describes the distinction. Um, but it's more about in mentoring, it's more about the relationship. It's more about the accompanying somebody on this path of awakening. And so, for example, I offer groups through Banyan. Um, so I have weekly groups that I offer through Banyan. And there are some folks in those Banyan groups also reach out to me for private mentoring. And so, although I have this relationship with the group and with the individual in the context of a group, the one-on-one is more personalized. It's to their own life experience, and but the ultimate difference, I think, is in the relationship development, in the community, the one-on-one community that you're creating with that person. That's really the distinction.
Okay. And are these 90-minute sessions, whether it's a group or individual?
Well, it depends. So the group sessions that I do are 90 minutes. The private sessions I do are 60 minutes.
Okay.
And I found that to be you kind of need that much time to get into the story that the person is living.
So coming back to the format, when you're in that 90-minute session,
Hmm.
um, do you wait for someone to ask a question? Like there must be a little bit of structure.
There is a bit of structure. So now I'll tell you as an example with my Banyan groups. Here's how the groups flow. And in the Banyan groups, I have about 10 people, maybe in on a regular basis, maybe about 8 to 10 people come. And so we all land together, and then I offer a 20-minute guided meditation. So I'll guide people in a particular type of meditation. Usually it's focusing on the breath, it's grounding, it's arriving. It might also be related to what I'd like to talk and explore with the group. So it might be a meditation focused on loving kindness or equanimity or something like that. So I'll offer that. And then I'll invite the group to check in, really brief 2-minute check in. Sometimes the check in will be what's alive in your practice right now, always through the lens of practice. What's alive in your practice right now? What are you coming to this space with? Sometimes it's just, what are you grateful for? And then sometimes the exploration for the group, for that particular group, might arise from the shares. So there might be a common theme that comes through, like there was the common theme about I feel guilty about taking care of myself. And so I'll facilitate a conversation about that. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily um, line up that way. So I'll have a theme in my back pocket, which I call it. Jack gave me that idea. I have a theme in my back pocket it's usually from my own life that I can actually pull out and say something like, I had a client or, I spent some time with my mom today and I noticed there was a part of me that came up that was very anxious and then I'll build an invitation to explore how do we meet that anxiety through the lens of mindfulness and compassion. And then it depends on the group. I'll mention kind of what I'd like to explore together, and we'll just maybe openly share, and it'll be popcorn style, or I'll invite them into breakouts, and then we come back into an open group. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Might you work with just one person because everyone can benefit from that?
Um, I usually don't. Um, But actually, there have been times, there have been a couple of times when a particular person was actually, this is real, it was diagnosed with cancer or had just lost their mother. And so it depends. If I feel like it would be beneficial for the group, because that's always my intention to have it be beneficial for the group, then I might stay a little bit longer with one person. But I try not to focus exclusively on that person because it's a group experience. Yeah. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I hope some of that's helpful, Teresa. I want to make sure we get other folks in as well.
Yes, thank you so much,
Yeah.
Sharon. It's been really helpful. Thank
Oh,
you.
you're welcome. Thank you for asking those questions.
Yeah.
That's it. That's beautiful. That's right what we're talking about. It's exactly what we're talking about. Because there's no template. There's not a lot of templates for this. This is a new kind of field, although not really new, but mentoring in this space is a new field. Mentoring isn't new. Mentoring, this kind of mentoring is new. And so thank you, Teresa. Yeah, Amanda. Hi, Amanda.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, where'd you go? I don't see Amanda. There you
Hi.
are.
There
Hi,
I am.
Amanda.
How are you, Sharon?
I'm doing well. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
this. I have a question because I'm not necessarily in this moment working within mindfulness.
Yeah.
I'm in education, and at the beginning you mentioned all of these different companies that have started to have more workshops or more mentoring within them, and public education being one of them.
Mhm.
And I do have strong intentions of bringing more of this into my workspace. And I'm just wondering if you have any advice of how to phrase or kind of frame this as I'm proposing it through different institutions. So it's not necessarily a religious perspective, but it's more
Mhm.
secular so that there's not any kind of off the bat confusion,
Yeah.
thinking that this is
Yeah.
a very religious perspective, especially, I mean, at this point I'm still looking for different jobs, and so I'm not sure where I'm going to go. And I know that different places in different states have different perspectives
Yeah.
regarding the
For
community
sure.
populations. So I
Yeah,
don't
for
know, in the
sure.
advertising or in the proposal of the kind of programs that I'd like to do to be sure that it's more secular, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make complete sense, Amanda. And there's two things that I'd like to offer. Um, One is when you're thinking of proposing a particular program to an organization, to phrase it perhaps around well-being.
Okay.
And you always kind of want to think about if you were in that particular business owner's um, mind and heart, what would appeal to them? What would appeal to them? Would it appeal to them that their workers are less stressed? Uh, would it appeal to them to create a culture of kindness and accountability? And so instead of speaking to them around what you can offer, speak to them um, from the perspective of how they will benefit. And then let that be the center point of your offer. And then two, this is where ChatGPT, I don't know how you feel about ChatGPT, but this is where ChatGPT can be really helpful. It's like having an assistant. Instead of going around and searching the web for different types of organizations that offer this and what they offer, you can let ChatGPT do that for you and put the question in, you'd like to offer a wellness uh, workshop or program uh, grounded in secular mindfulness. And can you create a list for me of the organizations for whom this might be appealing? And that may be a good first start. And then you can actually ask, these are my ideas for this offering. I'm thinking about it being 8 weeks. These are the things I want to cover. This is blah, blah, blah. And let ChatGPT help you to organize it, to refine it for you. And that can be really helpful. It's like having an assistant you'd be bouncing ideas off of.
Yeah.
It can be an assistant that you bounce things off of. That's a really cool way to use ChatGPT if that's something that you'd like to do. But yeah, I think that ultimately you want to speak from instead of. I used to say this when I was in corporate America, and I was worked in IT, and when we developed new software, we would always be excited about the features. It can do this, it can do that, it can do that. And we would always have to come back to, yes, but they don't necessarily care about the features. They really kind of want to know, how is this going to benefit me? So speak in terms of benefits, not features, because they don't know what mindfulness can do. Like, okay, we know because we're practitioners, but they don't know. So you want to speak in terms of what they would understand. And then when you get in there, that's when you can do all the clarification and the teaching and that kind of stuff, mentoring, whatever it is you plan to do. Does that make
Wonderful.
sense?
Yes, perfect. Thank you so
Good.
much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, my dear. Thank you for asking that question. Because I think that was actually helpful for a lot of people. I'm hoping it was anyway. Thanks, Amanda. Hi, Alexandra. Hello.
Hi, Sharon.
Hello, dear. Good to see
Lovely
you. I
chat with
almost see you. I almost can see you. Where are you? There you are.
you. Yeah.
Hi, Alexandra.
Thank you so much for your presence and for what you do. I'm
Mm,
really happy to be part
thank
of
you.
this training, but as well to know that there are humans like you that do this beautiful work.
Mm,
And I have two questions. I
sure.
don't want to take a lot of time, but basically, what came up for me also in the breakout room was around finding the people we want to serve.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and here I am a little bit struggling.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah. I
because
understand.
I'm also a coach, and
Mm-hmm.
in my like the people I work with in my coaching, because I'm a somatic coach,
Mm-hmm.
and I work with people like initially I worked just with women, but then I also added men, and
Mm-hmm.
I kind of focus on idea of being disconnected from the body and
Mm-hmm.
on dysregulated nervous systems
Mm-hmm.
and stressed out people,
Yeah.
burned out because I've been there. So that's part of my journey. However,
Yeah.
when I come to mindfulness and this mentoring, I find
Mm.
that, my I like the focus is kind of stretched a bit more because I'm thinking like there might be so many more people from so many more wakes of life that would want
Mm.
to do this. So if because you mentioned that, like if it's
Yeah.
yeah, more general or if it's more like targeted.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't want to feel like if I'm too general, it's not going to work, or I don't
Yeah.
know. Just like
Yes.
a lot of questions come up in my mind. So I wanted maybe if you could share how did you get to your um
Yeah.
um like niche, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a beautiful question, and probably one of the most common questions I get when I was doing a lot of coaching business owners. That was probably one of the top questions I would get. If I niche too tightly, I'm afraid I'm going to leave all these other people out. But then if I want to coach all these people, then my message gets really diluted, and my marketing gets really expensive, frankly. And so, um, personally, I found it that I'm kind of somewhere in the middle, frankly. And so I started off in a more general way because it was so uncomfortable for me to focus down. I wanted to work with anybody who wanted to work with me, and um, and so I would just have my offerings pretty general. I would talk about a lot of things you were talking about, stress and how do we navigate home life and work life, and just kind of generic. And what I found it was challenging to find people because that the message was for everyone, so it ultimately meant being for no one, if you know what I mean. And so it wasn't compelling enough because it was too general. I wasn't speaking directly to somebody. And then so over time, I began to notice who was coming to me and who did I enjoy working with. And ultimately, it was women in midlife who were struggling with bodies changing and relationships changing and developing a relationship with this new body and what is that, what does that mean, and so focusing on some of the challenges that were specific to women in midlife. That's what I really enjoyed. So that's where I decided to focus. Now, could I have focused down a little bit more? Women in midlife who are professionals, women in midlife who are mothers who are professionals. There's all kinds of ways I could niche down even further to speak more plainly and clearly to their pain points, because their pain points are perhaps a little different. Working mother in midlife's pain points may be slightly different than a professional woman's pain points. Some overlap, but different pain points. So I think ultimately what became most helpful for me is to be able to identify clearly the specific pain point. So, like when you talked about as a somatic coach, you work with people around being regulated and how easy it is to get dysregulated. And so, perhaps a pain point for a specific audience might be what happens because of that. Are they not
Mhm.
present in their relationships? Do they feel overwhelmed at work? Um, are they not able to relate to their chronic pain because they're constantly dysregulated? So, what happens as a result? And that can help you to speak directly to this person. You can almost imagine, we call it in business an avatar. You can almost imagine who this person is. I have a very clear image in my mind of who the woman is that I really want to work with. And she is this women in midlife who's like, why does my body hurt in this way? It never hurt before. I was able to do this before, and now I'm not able to. And now my hormones are all cuckoo. And now, my friends group is shifting and I feel lonely. I want to work with her um, for a number of different reasons, like those questions I ask. Why am I particularly resonant and how I can, because I've walked that path, I'm walking that path, and I've experienced some joy and relief from suffering around that, and yada, yada, yada. So it ultimately comes down to honing in on the pain points of the person you want to work with. And that makes your marketing easier too. Because then, for example, you could say, create a meetup group. I don't know if you have a meetup group where you are. It's just a platform where it facilitates coming together either online or in person. It's called meetup.com. And I think it's all around the world, actually. It's just meetup.com. And I'll give you an example. When I was early starting, how are we doing on time? I think we're good. When I was starting out, I started a meetup group because I had moved from New York and then Northern California, and I came to North Carolina, and I couldn't really find people who liked to talk about the things I wanted to talk about. So I was really into Wayne Dyer and that kind of thing. So I started this meetup group, and I had just become a coach, and I facilitated these conversations. I invited anybody who wanted to come. And over time, that we would meet at a Starbucks. I wouldn't charge anything. I read a passage from Wayne Dyer and we talk about how it related to our lives. Over time, that meetup group that started with like the four of us sitting in Starbucks, over the course of 10 years, that meetup group grew to 3,400 people. I didn't really do any marketing. Meetup did all the marketing, and then it was word of mouth. And then from that space came all of my clients, because now they had a relationship with me, and they're more likely to engage with you if they have some kind of relationship with you. Whether they see you posting online, whether you have a Substack, whether you're offering a free meditation group, drop-in group, people more likely will work with you in this space if they have already developed some level of trust with you. This is not like you can just call somebody or they'll just see you one time and want to work with you as a coach. That rarely happens. And so, for example, if you identified a particular population that you wanted to work with that has these specific pain points, you can create a meetup group online and say this is a monthly meetup group or a weekly meetup group where X kind of people meet to talk about, how do we navigate those kinds of things. So I did the same thing. I had that meetup group dissolved around COVID because it was 100% in person. So I had the idea that I'm going to restart another meetup, and I called it Your Second Act. And it's especially for women in midlife who are navigating some similar challenges. So very low lift for me. We meet monthly. I charge a nominal fee just to make sure people come when they say they're going to come. And I just bring some teaching around that. Let's talk about this through the lens of practice. I don't call it necessarily mindfulness or compassion, although I talk about it's weaved in, the ancient teachings are weaved in, but it's completely secular. And I put it up one day, and now it's a few weeks ago, and it's up to 30 people now, and I haven't really told many people about it because there are people online looking, and Meetup does a good job at pointing them to my site. And so you can do that in person. You can do that online. Create some kind of free or low-cost offering so people get to know you, whether that's sending a regular newsletter or posting on social. Let them get to know you. And then what you'll find from those interactions is you'll better understand your niche because you're going to be talking to people, hearing what their pain points are. And that will help to form, okay, yeah, I think I'm wanting to work with this particular population. So then you could create a workshop. Tell the people who already have a relationship with you that you're now offering a workshop if you'd like to go a little deeper with this particular topic. Then you have a workshop. Then perhaps from that workshop, you say, well, for those who want to go even deeper, let's form a coaching group, right? Higher cost, higher commitment on your part. And then from that coaching group, for those who want to really go into some personalized support, we'll have one-on-one. So it becomes this sort of a natural funnel for people to experience your work.
Yeah. Oh,
Is that
that sounds
helpful?
so beautiful.
Yeah.
That manifest. I love
Yes.
it.
Yes. May that manifest. May that
Thank
manifest. Yes.
Yes,
Thank you,
yes.
Alexandra.
Thank you so
And
much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome so much. And I kind of stumbled into that, y'all. I kind of stumbled into that. And so, how are people going to begin to know who you are? Figure out what that is based on your personality, based on your comfort level with different channels. Is it going to be a newsletter that you put out? Is it going to be posting regularly on social media, maybe engaging with folks there? Is it going to be, going to your local yoga studio and saying, you know what, I'd like to offer a free or low cost offering to your students every Monday morning or something like that? Benefits them, benefits you. You start to do that, people start to come, they start to get to know you. And then you say, well, now when you say I have a workshop or a seminar or a group that I'd like to offer, they already have this relationship with you. So it becomes a much warmer offer. And especially if you can be you can be as specific as possible in what you can help them with. That's really powerful. I hope some of that's helpful. I went on and on and on about that. But the reason I did is because I find it so helpful. It's not complicated. We'll complicate it with our narratives, but it's not complicated. And it takes time. It takes patience. It takes time. It takes commitment. It's not complicated, but it does take time and commitment. Any other questions? I think we have time for one more. Hi, Ella. Did I pronounce that right? Ella.
Hello. Oh, I'm so
Hello.
happy I get a chance to ask a question. If there are no
Sure.
other questions, thank you so much. I'm happy to be here, Sharon.
I'm happy you're here
So,
too, honey.
yeah, I'm in Poland, Warsaw.
Ah,
So it's already
yeah.
night here. But my
Wow.
question actually is about the last point on our
Mm.
list. Because we talk a
Ah,
lot about, how to get clients and,
yeah.
how to develop our businesses and things like that. But then I would like to ask you to tell us more, maybe from your good practices.
Mm.
How do you take care of yourself? Because
Ah,
when you were teaching before the group, you said something about the breaks between people
uh-huh.
that you're
Uh-huh.
seeing and things like
Yeah.
that. So I got really curious, and it kind of connects with this point,
Yes,
at
it
least to
does.
me.
Yes, it does, Ella. Thank you. And it's not last because that's the last thing to consider. Actually, if I was thinking about the order in which we do things, that would be first,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. And
Mm,
I've had to learn to do that. I think
mm,
initially when I started working with people, um, I came into contact with those parts of me
mm,
that wanted to help, that wanted to fix, that wanted to solve, that wanted to make effort to be helpful. And so I wasn't present. I was more in my anxiety. And so I would get off these calls and my back would be full of sweat and I'd be exhausted. And I was efforting because I wasn't trusting my own wisdom. I wasn't trusting the space itself. I wasn't really trusting um, that all I needed to be was present
mm,
and in touch with my own practice. Right? I
mm,
didn't need to have the list memorized. I didn't need to have anything memorized, or I just needed to be present and fully connected to my own practice. When I realized that, Tara was really helpful with that. She kind of coached me through that. When I realized that and settled into working with people in that way, so much easier, so much more trustworthy than my brain, right? But it took me time, and that was part of my own practice. I had to come into contact with those parts of me
mm,
that were trying so hard. And they show up in lots of different ways in my life. And so I had to come into contact with those parts of me that tried so hard and meet them with curiosity and compassion and tenderness and help them to develop a trust in my system that we're safe now. I'm not 10 and I don't need to be constantly reading the room and, be responsible for the emotions of other people to feel safe. I needed to do that when I was 10. But now I'm 58. I'm 58 now. And I have some wisdom. I have some experience. I have a commitment to this practice and these teachings that I study. And so my practice is trustworthy. And the more I show up knowing that my practice is trustworthy, it becomes more trustworthy. That makes sense? It's not something I can think myself way into. It's like the more I show up, then it's right. So that's one thing. But the more practical thing is kind of what I talked about before, to build in spaces for rest as a rhythm, not as a way of earning rest. When I get everything done, then I'll rest, but to actually schedule rest on your calendar. Just as you would schedule any other appointment, because the restoration is such an important part of this practice. And, I did a retreat, like I mentioned, over this weekend, and I hear this so many times. Someone said, she asked a question, and she was very upset. Not upset, she was very emotional. And she said, I feel so guilty being here when the world is suffering. I got it. Like in the Ukraine and Gaza and Uganda. There's so many people, and right here in the States, there's so many people who are suffering. Actually, you know what? I'm going to read to you because I posted something on Substack that speaks straight to it. And this might speak to the point I'm trying to drive home. So I'm going to read it real quickly. Is that okay, Ella?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good, because I don't see any other questions just now. Okay, here it is. Here's what I wrote. A question comes up again and again with folks who care deeply about the world. I feel guilty about taking care of myself when so many people are suffering. Someone asked this at a retreat I taught this past weekend at Elohi, which is a retreat center. She said she felt guilty for being there, guilty for resting, guilty for tending to her heart while so much pain exists around us. I understood it right away. I felt it too. That guilt often comes from a tender place. It means we're paying attention. It means our hearts are awake. But guilt is not a good guide. It tightens the chest. It narrows our vision. It drains the energy we need to stay engaged and grounded. Here's what I told her, and what I want you to hear too. The world does not benefit from our despair. It has enough of that. What it needs is our clarity. It needs our steadiness. It needs our compassionate action, our curiosity, and our love. In the Buddhist teachings, an overwhelmed mind is not a mind that sees clearly. When we are flooded or ashamed or exhausted, we're not able to respond with wisdom. We tend to react, collapse, or shut down. A clear mind and a steady heart are not luxuries. They are conditions for wise action. And science tells the same story. When our nervous systems are pushed into constant threat, empathy drops. Problem-solving drops. Our ability to stay present drops. We stop listening. We stop imagining new possibilities. We lose access to the parts of ourselves that actually help the world. So the real question is not how dare we take care of ourselves. The real question is, how can we possibly serve without it? Taking care of ourselves is not selfish. It's training. It's tending the inner conditions that make compassionate action possible. It's choosing to live in a way that keeps the heart open rather than brittle. It's choosing to stay resourced so that we can keep turning toward the world instead of away from it. And many of us were taught to put ourselves last, to push through, to ignore our needs until something breaks. Rest was something to earn, never something that belonged to us. But here's the truth I know from experience. When I care for myself with honesty, with discernment and tenderness, I do not pull away from the world. I show up with more presence. I have more patience. I have more courage. I can stay with discomfort longer. I can listen without shutting down. My compassion grows roots instead of floating on fumes. Your well-being is not separate from the well-being of the world. Your clarity is part of the medicine. Your steadiness is part of the healing. Your rest is part of how we interrupt the cycle of fear and reactivity that does the real harm. So take a moment and ask yourself, when I am rested and grounded, how do I show up differently? When I care for my own heart, what becomes possible in my relationships? When I give myself space to breathe, what shifts in the way I meet the world? And if your answers point toward more compassion, more presence, and more courage, then you already know the truth. So just because your brain offers you a story that's different than that doesn't mean you need to believe it. Caring for yourself is not stepping away. It is preparing yourself to meet the world with an open heart. It's strengthening the part of you that refuses to turn numb. It is how we build the inner capacity for the collective care that we all long for. So please take good care. The world needs the version of you who can see clearly, love fully, and stay steady in the fire, one breath at a time. That's what we're doing. That's number 10, which should be number 1. So thank you for asking that, Ella. And that's going to look different for each of us depending on our life situation.
Of course.
But to prioritize that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
asking that, dear. You're
Beautiful.
welcome. Thank you for asking that. Yes, yes. I appreciate that so much. And here's I just put the link. I just put the link in there if anybody wants it. And so there's no more questions. We're at time. And really, thank you all so much for being here, for a heart that wants to relieve suffering of the world. Deep bow. Deep bow. And I'm inspired and energized by being in this space with you all from all parts of the world, that we're all holding up these lights and trusting that those ripples will ripple out into a world that needs this kind of energy. And so may you trust this unfolding. May you trust your own practice. May you be patient. May you be extraordinarily kind to yourself. May you be curious. May you prioritize your own well-being, knowing that's the least selfish thing you can do. So may you be free from suffering and all the causes and conditions of suffering. May you be safe from inner and outer harm. And may you experience huge pockets of ease and peace and joy. And may all the goodwill that we've accumulated in our time together, may we extend that out to a world that is suffering. Right in this moment, may our goodwill and well wishes go out to all corners of the world, right to the hearts of those who are suffering. May we all be free, without exception. May we all be free. So, thank you everybody for being here. Deep bow to each of you. And I don't know if you have any final thoughts, Mackie. Thank you for your support.
Yeah,
Mackie.
thank you, Sharon. And just wanted to say thank you to all of you for your kind attention. I'll ask you to unmute if you want to say some last goodbyes to everyone and to Sharon. Be well and take good care.
Be well, everybody. Take good care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye,
Beautiful.
everybody.
Yes, Sharon.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Take
Take
care.
care. Bye-bye.